Dear students, welcome to this lecture video. In this lecture video, I will solve problem P14-26 from the textbook. So we have to estimate share value using the ROPI model. We have this information, sales, NOPAT, and NOAA. Part A is asking forecast the terminal period values for sales, NOPAT, and NOAA, assuming 1% terminal period growth rate. So terminal period is the year immediately following forecast horizon period. Starting with the terminal period, we believe growth rate will be constant. For example, 1%. So this will be a long problem, and we need to use Excel. So I have already included the information from the problem into this Excel file. You can also copy paste or manually enter this information in an Excel file. So for part A, what we can do is, this is our terminal period. All these will increase at 1%. This is 1%. So this will be then 2022 sales times 1 plus the growth rate. And I will lock this growth rate cell so that when I pull down this formula, this one does not move, this cell does not move, but these cells move accordingly. So to lock this cell, depending on your keyboard, if you press just F4, and you will see $sign in front of C, which is column, and in front of number 9, which is row number. So both row and column will be locked. If F4 does not work, you can also manually type this $sign. And close. I will pull across. So that's all we need to do for part A. You can also double click to make sure the correct cells are selected. Now for part B, estimate the value of a share of Colgate-Palmolive common stock using the residual operating income model, which is the ROPI model. Assume a discount rate of 5.7%. We already have it here. Common shares outstanding, net non-operating obligation, and non-controlling interest. Okay, so as per ROPI, residual operating income model, what you have to do, you have to follow these steps. First, we have to forecast and then discount. So discount basically just means you have to calculate the present value of future cash flows. So forecast and discount ROPI for the horizon period. Again, what is the horizon period? This is the horizon period. And then forecast and constant ROPI for the terminal period, which is this, the terminal period. So now forecast ROPI for the horizon period. So what is ROPI and how can we calculate ROPI? So your ROPI is equal to your NOPAT minus net operating assets of the beginning point of time, meaning the ending net operating assets of the last year times RW, which is the weighted average cost of capital. So to calculate ROPI, then we need to first calculate net operating assets beginning times WACC. RW is a WACC. So let's do that. And we'll start here because as per ROPI model, the farm value is equal to NOA, which is our current year NOA, plus present value of expected ROPI. Expected ROPI meaning in future. So we'll start with the future, in this case starting in 2019. So our NOA is this times our weighted average cost of capital. This again, we are going to lock this cell completely. After we have this, we can pull across. Now we can calculate our ROPI. So ROPI minus so another thing, I made a mistake here. So this NOA should be the beginning, right? So I have to select the previous one. So because I made changes here, I need to pull across again. Now they're being selected correctly. So NOA of the beginning point of time, and then times your discount rate, WACC. So now your ROPI is equal to your NOPAT minus NOA times WACC. And then you pull across. So we forecasted ROPI. What was the second step? We have to discount. That means we have to calculate the present value. So I will say present value of Horizon ROPI. Now present value, to calculate present value of Horizon ROPI, we have to multiply by the discount factor. So we need to calculate discount factor first. So discount factor. So discount factor is your discount 1 over open parenthesis 1 plus this discount rate, and I'm going to lock this and close. Now raised to the power 1 because we have to multiply the discount factor with the corresponding ROPI. So this ROPI is happening at the end of first year, right? So we have to raise it to the power 1. So essentially we are using the time value of money formulas here. Now, because I want to be able to pull across, I am going to use a count formula here, count. And I'm going to count starting from here, these, but I have to make some changes here because I don't want to count all these. I want to count only these. So I'll come here in this formula box in here. I'll log D16 completely. And then this one also, D16. So from D16 to D16, it will count only one cell. That is what I need. But as I move across this formula, D16 will change, D17, D18, and so on. And our exponent, number of periods, will change accordingly. So this one, and then I'll pull across up to this. We have to take care of the terminal period ROPI slightly differently, and I'll show you shortly. So if you click on this, you will see the count formula is working correctly. Now, to calculate present value of ROPI, we have to take our ROPI, multiply by the discount factor. Okay, so we calculated the present value discounted. Now, what was the next step? We have to forecast and discount ROPI for terminal period. So we have already forecasted ROPI for the terminal period. We need to discount it. Before I do that, I also want to calculate the cumulative present value of horizon ROPI. What that basically means, what is the sum of all this horizon ROPI? So sum of this, okay? Now I'm going to calculate the present value of terminal ROPI. So to find out the present value of terminal ROPI, you have to use a formula we saw, I believe, in module 12. Let me bring up that formula. So this is the module 12 slides. So it was applied on TDM. The math remains the same. Instead of TDM, we have now ROPI. Instead of dividends, we have ROPI. So this is the formula. When cash flow or dividends grow at a constant rate. Now what we do to find out the sum of the present value of all future cash flows, increasing, growing at a constant rate, G, this is the formula we have to use. So this 0 means we can find out the present value, sum of the present value of all future cash flows happening from D1, that means after year 1. And then year 2, year 3. So we can find out at this point, 0, and we need the cash flows happening from year 1 and into perpetuity. So in our case, our ROPI, terminal ROPI, is this one. So if we consider this as year 1, our present value will be actually 1 year before, right? So it will stand at the end of year 2022. So what we have to do, I will take this ROPI, divide by, open parenthesis, our discount rate minus our terminal period growth rate, right? So I applied this formula. Now, note, this actually stands at the end of year 2022, right? Because if this is 1, this is year 0. So now we need to bring it further back here. So 4 more years before. So we have to discount it or calculate the present value of this amount for 4 more years. So what we are going to do, we are going to multiply the enter value in this cell with the discount factor. So I'll wrap this entire thing within parentheses, multiply by our discount factor. So this is our present value of terminal ROPI. So now the third step, sum the present values of horizon and terminal periods. So present values of horizon and terminal periods and add net operating assets to yield the farm enterprise value. So I have the present value of horizon ROPI and the terminal ROPI. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the net operating assets from above, which is this number. Okay. So we have to sum all of these to get to farm value. So total farm, also called enterprise value. Okay. Now to determine equity value. So the question is, we have to find out the value of a share, right, of common stock. So that means we need to know the value of equity. So we have to subtract net non-operating obligation, preferred stock, non-controlling interest. So we don't have, we have net non-operating obligation here. We don't have any preferred stock. We have non-controlling interest. So I'm going to copy this and bring this number from here. Farm equity value will be total farm value minus my net non-operating obligation minus non-controlling interest. So that is my farm equity value, total value or value of common stock. Now we need to divide this by the number of shares. So I will copy paste shares outstanding and bring that number from here. Now I have stock value per share, which will be my equity value divided by my shares outstanding. So $64.40. Okay. So that is actually our A and B. Colgate-Palmolive stock closed at 66.7. So that was the market price on February 21st, the date, the Form 10K, from which we got this historical information, was filed with SEC. How does your valuation estimate compare with this closing price? So our valuation is lower than the market price. So what do you believe are some reasons for the difference? So market is giving a higher value than our estimate. So remember, we used these inputs, right? These are our assumptions. So maybe the market is using higher growth rate for the terminal period ROPI, or using a lower discount rate, or one of these. So that is why they are reaching a higher value. So market is probably more optimistic than we are. What investment decision is suggested from your results? Now, if you are very confident about your analysis, about your forecasts, terminal growth rate, discount factor, then you should not invest because it is overvalued currently. Okay, now D, the forecast assumed a terminal growth rate of 1%. If the terminal growth rate had been 2%, what would the estimated stock price have been? So we can actually directly change it to 2% to see that the value increases to $79.78. And that makes sense because if our sales increase, our NOPAT will increase, NOAA will increase. So that will also increase the share price. Now, I'm going to undo this. So going back to 1%. So instead of making changes here, I'm going to rename this as A and B, and then make another copy of this entire worksheet. So I'll right click. And this will be my, let's say, D. So for D, what I'm going to do, change it to 2%. Okay, for E, what would WACC need to be to warrant the actual stock price on February 21, 2019, given a terminal growth rate of 2%? So let's say the terminal growth rate is 2%, but our share price is now $79.78. So we came up with a higher value than the market price. Part E is saying at what WACC we'll reach the current market price. So what we can do, it is actually a what if analysis. So we are going to make another copy of this. And I'll call this E. Now, the question is saying terminal growth rate stands at 2%, but change the WACC. So Excel has a wonderful tool inside this data menu. And then if you go to forecast option, what if, goal seek. Now we want to set this cell to the current market price, which is 66.77, by changing our WACC. That's all you have to do, and then press OK. So goal seeking, found a solution, so OK. So your discount rate has to be 6.35%. I'm going to save this Excel. Now F, perform a sensitivity analysis of the estimated stock price as shown in Exhibit 13.4. Okay, estimate the company's stock price by varying the terminal growth rate from 1% to 3% in 50 basis points walk. Okay, so what that basically means, we have to create a table and examine stock price under different assumptions. So first assumption is terminal growth rate will change from 1% to 3%. Okay. So I'll write down here terminal growth rate 1% to 3% in 50 basis point increments. So this will increase by 50 basis points, mean 0.5%. And then I'll pull across up to 3. Let us use only 2 decimal. And then what you have to do, you have to set up this table correctly. We are going to use another what if tool within Excel. So you have to set up your table correctly for that tool to work correctly. So in this diagonal cell, I'll write down the first value of the other variable that is changing, which is WACC, 4.7%. And this will also increase by 50 basis points. Up to 6.7. So I don't need this. This is my WACC. Okay, so this is my WACC. Now, in this corner cell, you will make a cell reference. So meaning enter equal sign to the value you variable you want to estimate, which is the stock price. So this. Okay. And then you are going to highlight this entire block. Go to data, forecast. What if? Choose data table. Now, this first cell is asking for row input cell, meaning row WACC is in the row. So we have to scroll up, choose this WACC from here. Now the second column input cell, what is in the column? Terminal growth rate. So you have to go up again, choose the terminal. Now we will just push OK. These will be the stock price at different assumptions, meaning if WACC is 4.7, terminal growth rate is 1%, then this will be our stock price. For example, here we had, let's say in the original case, A and B, we had 1% and 5.7%. So 1% and 5.7%, and we found 64.40, which matches with the full analysis, right? So this is what is meant by sensitivity analysis. I'm going to use only 2 decimal places. So that's it for this problem. I want to show you one more thing quickly here. Now on the quiz, there may be a problem that will ask for a specific portion of this problem. Ask you to solve a specific part or portion of this problem. For example, here, when we want to calculate cumulative present value of horizon ROPI, present value of terminal value ROPI, right? We calculated these values here. We can actually find, let's say, the sum of these two values using a financial calculator, this value, meaning sum of the cumulative present value of horizon ROPI and present value of terminal ROPI. And I'm going to show you how. So this is your BA2 calculator. As before, you are going to go to CF function, second, this CE/C to erase any existing values. Press CF again. Now, I am going to ignore CF0. We don't have any value for 0. We are starting with 2019, which is 1. So press down arrow, C01. So what is our C01? So this is our C01, 2447. After you have typed this number, you have to press enter for this number to be saved in C01. Now down arrow, this number is happening only once, the frequency is 1. Down arrow, the second number, 2519. Again, enter. Down arrow, down arrow. Now the third number is 2559. 2595 actually. So enter. Now, for the last horizon period, first what we are going to do, we are going to calculate the present value of terminal period at this point of time, which is basically this formula. So 2723.11 divided by parentheses, we are doing a subtraction in the denominator, 6.35%, 0.0635 minus 0.02, close, enter. So this is how much we got from this formula. Let me quickly check here. It is not exactly the same. So they are not probably taking these numbers correctly. So let me do it again. 2723.11 divided by, so 6.35 minus 2, which will be 4.35%, 0.0435 equal to. So probably it is because of the decimal point. Okay, so we have this number at the end of 2022. Now we have this ROPI we need to add to. So plus 2673.73. So 2673.73 equal to. So this will be our CO4. Enter. Now down arrow. So we don't have any other cash flow. Okay, so, and PV interest rate is 6.35. Enter. Down arrow, it shows NPV 0 because we did not press compute yet. We'll compute 57,712.64. So our Excel value is 57,657. If we use more decimal places in the discount rate, we will get to very closer values. For example, let's go to CF again. So these are not changing. Now let's say in C04, what we are going to do. So 2723.11 divide by open parent. Now previously we used 6.35%. Now I'm going to use 6.3542%. So 0.06352 minus 0.02, close parenthesis, enter equal. So that is the present value of this ROPI at this point of time. This is from the terminal period. Now we also have to add this amount, which is 2673. So plus 2673.73. Enter equal sign. So this is how much we get from 2022. Cash flow. So now we are going to NPV. Now interest rate, we are going to use 6.3542. 6.3542, hit enter, down arrow, compute. So 57,656. And from Excel, we have 57,657. So very close. So actually using more decimal places for the discount rate is the key here to get to a closer value to the Excel. So that's it from this lecture video. Thank you very much for your time.